Hi, I'm Bill Spammer from macrobeat.co.uk. Not much really to report from this week. It's been a lot quieter. It's been more sort of focus on the data. We continue to get rather strong US data. So the US economy seems to be in fairly good shape, which I guess explains why all the dovish Fed speakers this week didn't really have much impact, as the market just doesn't really see the connection between the continued dovish talk and the current data. Obviously, if the data were to start to turn down, that might get a little bit more weight again, but US yields are beat, equities are beat, dollar is beat. So really not that much what they've been trying to do. On the other hand, we have Bank of England yesterday. They've been somewhat more hawkish versus expectation. I'm a bit surprised the way they've been leaning out of the window, given it's just February. We still don't really know the full impact once all the support packages sort of end with COVID. There was really no need to be too forward-looking and talking about, tightening and things like that. So I think there should have been a little bit more pragmatic in order not to have to flip-flop later in the year. But it is what it is. Small bounce in sterling yields, small bounce in sterling. We got a bit of a glimpse on the US foreign policy under Biden. It seems, as we said before, the idea with China seems to be to follow more or less the Trumpian sort of policies. They seem to take a firmer stance on Russia. How this turns out, we have to wait and see. And funny enough, they didn't really mind to continue the cooperation with Saudi Arabia, similar to the Trump administration. But I guess we're going to hear more in the weeks to come what that all really means at the end of the day. As I said, not too much. I have a few charts for you today that are more centric around the dollar, because I think that is where things are happening and probably where maybe the surprise is for 2021 so far. The first chart is euro dollar. We talked about this 120.50-60 break last week. It did finally happen. We did finally break the 2020 uptrend in the euro. And now we come to the real key level, 119.45, the 23.6 Fibonacci area. The theory here is really up to this point here, we could still just call it a correction. The moment we take out this area, it's actually starting to become a trend, meaning a dollar uptrend. And I still think this is what ultimately will happen. We might just have a little bit of a fight first. On the next slide, this is the Aussie dollar. As you can see, we kind of been around this big 2020 uptrend the last 4 days. Aussie is really in process of turning down as well. It probably just needs a DXY to really extend, and I could actually see a major top in the Aussie here. As I said, we might still need a few more days. We might get another small rally, but I really do think the Aussie is in a topping out process as we speak. The next slide, this is the dollar yen. Dollar yen, we mentioned, I think 2 weeks ago, dollar yen has actually broken out of this 2020 downtrend already way ahead of the other dollars, surprisingly, because it broke out actually the week where equities were heading lower. Obviously, there was a bit of news with the big Japanese M&A into the US that obviously did help some dollar demand. And we're getting to the sort of interesting area here around 105.45.50. Probably similar to the sort of levels we just looked at in the other dollars. So for the dollar yen to extend, we really have to gain above 105.50. Given how slow the dollar trend is right now, I think it's going to take some time. I think the dollar will continue to grind higher at this point. And we will look on the DXY, what I sort of expect, what we need to break to accelerate that trend. So the next slide is the DXY. I talked a lot about the 91 level, which was the first sort of level we had to break in order to have a sort of a comeback in the dollar. And as you saw in the euro, it's this kind of, at this point, maybe a bit of a squeeze. 91, 92 and a half, or call it 92 really, is the real big one. A break there, I think the market can no longer really ignore, and that is when the dollar would really accelerate. I still think it will happen, but it might just need a little bit of time in the next 1 or 2 weeks. But watch 92, that's the real game changer here on the dollar. That is, for me, a little bit of a dollar special. Have a lovely weekend and speak to you next week.